In our previous video, we went over the pantheist model of God. In this video, I shall be going over a model of God which is pretty new in philosophy of religion, which is called process theism. Process theism is a pretty new view of God that has emerged in recent years. The view states that God is always changing and co-evolving with the world. Process theology would also deny the classical attribute of omnipotence. Instead, they simply redefine it. Process theologians make a distinction between coercive power and the power of persuasion. They say that God does not have power over all things, but he does have the power of persuasion. God has persuasive power, but not forceful power. So God cannot overpower the free will of creatures. On process theism, God is part of the creative process. While God was the one who created the universe, he is also the one that changes with it. In other words, God's fundamental nature is fully mutable. Furthermore, just like on pantheism, God didn't create the world from nothing, but rather used pre-existing material. Also, with process theism, God can be affected by temporal processes in nature. Now, one very important thing to understand when it comes to process theism is that there are a variety of views about how God changes. One view says that prior to creation, God was loveless and didn't care for anything, until such a God one day became loving and went through a process of change. So God learned the concept of love and goodness and used it to his advantage. Another view is that God was always loving, but that such love is mutable and changes throughout time. Again, there are various different perspectives on how this plays out, and process theism is a view that is getting more developments. But the basic idea behind process theism is that God is mutable and changes and evolves with the world throughout time, and God's omnipotence is more limited, as God uses the power of persuasion rather than the power of force. Now that we have examined process theism, in our next video we shall be going over our final model of God, which is open theism.